Have you ever wondered why your heart pounds before a big presentation, or why a dark alley feels so menacing even when you know nothing is there? What if I told you that a tiny almond-shaped part of your brain is a master puppeteer, pulling strings that dictate your reactions, your decisions, and even your deepest beliefs, all without you ever noticing the strings themselves? This invisible force is more ancient than human civilization, more powerful than conscious logic, and it's active in your mind right now. We will uncover 25 fascinating facts about fear, exploring how this ancient, powerful emotion is not just a feeling, but a fundamental force that has shaped human history, dictates our daily choices, and holds the keys to both our survival and our limitations. Fact 1. Fear is fundamentally a survival tool. This might seem obvious, but its elegance is profound. Fear is not a weakness or a flaw in our design. It is a highly sophisticated and successful evolutionary strategy. It is a predictive system, constantly scanning the environment for potential threats based on past experiences and innate programming. Its entire job is to keep you out of harm's way, and it has been doing that job successfully for millions of years. Every time you hesitate before crossing a busy street or feel a sense of unease in an unfamiliar place, you are experiencing this ancient protective mechanism at work. Fact 2.
The amygdala is your brain's Fear-Carter.
This little structure acts like the first responder in an emergency. It receives sensory information, like what you see and hear, and it can trigger a fear response before your conscious mind even has a chance to process what is happening. This is why you might jump back from a coiled hose on the ground before you even consciously realize it's not a snake. The amygdala operates on a better safe than sorry principle, prioritizing speed over accuracy to give you a critical head start in potentially dangerous situations. It is a rapid, subconscious reaction. Fact 3. The famous fight or flight response is actually incomplete. For decades, we were taught that in the face of a threat, we have two options: confront it or run from it. But neuroscientists now know the picture is more complex. The full range of acute threat responses includes 4 primary strategies. There is fight, confronting the threat directly. There is flight, which is escaping the situation. But there is also freeze. This is the deer in the headlights response, where you become completely still. This is not a glitch, it is a tactical pause, allowing you to assess the situation without drawing attention to yourself. And finally, there is fawn, a response that involves trying to appease the threat, often seen in social dynamics where someone might try to placate an aggressor to de-escalate a conflict. Which response your brain chooses depends on a lightning-fast calculation of the threat, your environment, and your perceived chances of success. Fact 4. You are not born with most of your fears, you learn them. While we have a few innate fears, like the fear of falling or loud noises, the vast majority of our phobias and anxieties are acquired through experience. This process is called conditioning. If a child has a frightening encounter with a dog, their brain may form a strong association between the sight of a dog and the feeling of terror. From then on, any dog, no matter how friendly, might trigger that same fear response. This learning can happen directly, through personal experience, or indirectly, by observing the fearful reactions of others. If you saw your parents panic during a thunderstorm as a child, you might have learned to fear storms yourself. Fact 5. Fear can be passed down through generations without a single lesson. This might sound like science fiction, but it is a very real phenomenon known as epigenetic inheritance. Your experiences can cause chemical tags to be attached to your DNA. These tags do not change the DNA sequence itself, but they do change how your genes are expressed. Groundbreaking studies on laboratory animals have shown that when a parent is conditioned to fear a specific smell, their offspring can show a heightened fear response to that same smell, even if they have never encountered it before. It is as if the memory of the danger is passed down biologically, a warning from the past embedded in their very genes. This suggests that some of our inexplicable anxieties might be echoes of traumas faced by our ancestors. Fact 6. The physical feelings of fear are the result of a chemical cocktail. That pounding heart, the shallow breathing, the clammy hands, the feeling of butterflies in your stomach, none of it is just in your head. When your amygdala sounds the alarm, it triggers the release of powerful stress hormones, primarily adrenaline and cortisol. Adrenaline is the immediate action chemical. It increases your heart rate to pump more blood to your muscles, sharpens your senses, and gives you a burst of energy. Cortisol, the longer-acting stress hormone, keeps your body on high alert. This entire chemical cascade is designed to prepare your body for peak physical performance, to either fight for your life or run faster than you ever thought you could. Fact 7. Your brain does not treat all memories equally, and fearful memories get the VIP treatment. Think about it. You probably cannot remember what you had for breakfast last Tuesday, but you can likely recall a frightening event from years ago with crystal clarity. This is by design. When you are scared, the stress hormones flooding your system act like a highlighter pen for your brain's memory-making machinery, particularly the hippocampus. This process, known as emotional memory consolidation, essentially tells your brain, "Pay attention. This is important for survival. Remember this, so you can avoid it in the future." This is why trauma can lead to such powerful, intrusive memories. The brain has tagged the experience as a life-or-death lesson that must never be forgotten. Fact 8. Fear can grant you temporary superhuman abilities. This is not an exaggeration. The surge of adrenaline we mentioned earlier does more than just make your heart pound. It also causes your liver to dump glucose into your bloodstream for instant energy. It dilates your pupils to let in more light, sharpening your vision. It even slows down non-essential functions like digestion to divert all available resources to your muscles. This is the biological basis for incredible stories of people lifting impossibly heavy objects in a crisis or running faster than they ever have. For a few crucial moments, fear allows your body to bypass its normal safety limits and operate at its absolute maximum capacity. It is a powerful but costly burst of energy designed for extreme emergencies. Fact 9. Although we often use the words interchangeably, fear and anxiety are not the same thing. This is a critical distinction. Fear is an immediate response to a present and specific danger.
You see a bear in the woods, you feel fear.
It is a direct reaction to a clear threat. Anxiety, on the other hand, is a diffuse, future-oriented state of apprehension. You worry about the possibility of seeing a bear on your hike tomorrow. That is anxiety. Fear says, danger is here now. Anxiety says, danger might be coming. While the physical sensations can be similar, anxiety is a sustained state of alert for a threat that is uncertain or has not yet happened. In our modern world, where physical threats are less common, we often find ourselves wrestling more with anxiety than with acute fear. Fact 10. Your brain has a built-in brake pedal for fear, and it is called the prefrontal cortex. Located right behind your forehead, this is the most evolved part of your brain, responsible for logic, reason, and impulse control. While the amygdala is the fast-acting emotional alarm, the prefrontal cortex is the calm, rational analyst. When you jump at the sight of that coiled hose, that is your amygdala's fast track, or low-road response. A split second later, your prefrontal cortex gets the full detailed picture from your senses and sends a signal back to the amygdala saying, "Stand down, it is just a hose." This is the high road. The constant conversation between the emotional amygdala and the logical prefrontal cortex determines your final response. A well-functioning prefrontal cortex can help you manage your fears, while a less active one can leave you at the mercy of your amygdala's alarms. Fact 11. Humans are the only animals known to actively seek out fear for fun. Think about horror movies, roller coasters, or haunted houses. Why would we willingly subject ourselves to an emotion designed to signal danger? The secret lies in a concept called benign masochism or safe fear. Your brain is smart enough to know that the monster on the screen cannot actually harm you, and the roller coaster is designed with rigorous safety standards. So you get the exhilarating rush of the fight-or-flight response, the adrenaline, the pounding heart, the heightened senses, all without any real threat. And when the ride is over or the movie ends, your brain is flooded with relief chemicals like dopamine, creating a powerful sense of euphoria. It is like a thrilling biological hack, enjoying the highs of a survival response in a completely controlled environment. Fact 12. Fear can make you believe in things that are not there. When you are in a heightened state of alert, your brain is desperately trying to make sense of the world and identify the source of the potential threat. This can lead it to connect unrelated dots and see patterns where none exist, a phenomenon known as apophenia. A rustle in the bushes becomes a predator. A strange noise in the house becomes an intruder. This hyperactive pattern seeking is a survival mechanism. It is better to mistakenly identify a threat that is not there than to miss a real one. However, in our complex world, this same mechanism can fuel superstitions, conspiracy theories, and paranoia, as the fearful brain scrambles to find a simple cause for complex and unsettling events. Fact 13. The phrase gut-wrenching fear is literally true. Your digestive system is often called your second brain because it is lined with hundreds of millions of neurons, a network known as the enteric nervous system. This system is in constant communication with your brain through what is called the gut-brain axis. When you feel fear, the brain sends an immediate signal to the gut. This can cause that fluttering sensation of butterflies, nausea, or even the urgent need to empty your bowels. This is your body's way of lightening the load in preparation for flight. Furthermore, a significant portion of your body's serotonin, a key neurotransmitter that regulates mood and fear, is produced in your gut. This means that the health of your digestive system can have a direct and profound impact on your emotional state and how you experience fear and anxiety. Fact 14. Fear is remarkably contagious. Just as a yawn can spread through a room, so can a wave of panic, and it happens on a deeply biological level. When we see a look of fear on someone else's face, or hear a panicked tone in their voice, our own amygdala can activate in response. This is due in part to a system of brain cells called mirror neurons, which fire both when we perform an action and when we see someone else perform that same action. They are the basis of empathy. In the context of fear, they allow us to instantly feel another person's terror without having to see the threat ourselves. This had a huge evolutionary advantage for our ancestors. If one person in the tribe spotted a predator, their panic could spread through the entire group in an instant, triggering a collective flight response long before everyone had personally identified the danger. It is a primal form of group communication that bypasses language and logic entirely. Fact 15. This contagious nature of fear has profound consequences for our social behavior, often pushing us towards conformity. When we feel afraid or uncertain, we experience a powerful instinctual drive to seek safety in numbers. We look to the group, to the tribe, for cues on how to act and what to believe. This is known as herd mentality. In a state of fear, our desire to belong and be protected by the group can override our individual critical thinking. We become more likely to trust authority figures without question and adopt the beliefs and behaviors of the majority, even if they contradict our own judgment. This mechanism can be exploited. Marketers use fear of missing out to sell products, and political leaders can use fear of an outside group to unify their own followers and consolidate power. Fear makes us more compliant and less willing to stand out from the crowd. Fact 16. It is not just our social instincts that are wired for fear, our very senses are too, especially our hearing. The human ear is exceptionally good at detecting sounds that signal potential danger. Think about the classic jump scare in a horror movie. It is almost always accompanied by a sudden, loud, and often high-pitched sound. This type of sound travels on a direct high-speed pathway from our ears to our thalamus, the brain sensory relay station, and then straight to the amygdala, triggering a fear response before our conscious brain even has time to process the sound. On the other end of the spectrum is infrasound, which is sound at frequencies so low we cannot consciously hear them, but our bodies can feel them as a vibration. These low-frequency sounds are known to create feelings of unease, anxiety, and dread. Natural phenomena like earthquakes and volcanic eruptions produce infrasound, so we may be evolutionarily conditioned to associate it with impending disaster. Filmmakers often layer infrasound into their movie scores to create a pervasive sense of tension without the audience even knowing why they feel so unsettled. Fact 17. While fear is preparing your body for peak physical performance, it is also staging a takeover of your mind, significantly impairing your ability to think clearly and creatively. When the amygdala is in charge and stress hormones are flooding your system, blood flow is diverted away from the prefrontal cortex, your center for rational thought. The brain essentially declares a state of emergency, shutting down what it considers non-essential functions. Long-term planning, complex problem-solving, abstract thought, and creativity are all put on the back burner. Your thinking becomes more rigid, more black and white, and more focused on immediate, concrete threats. This is why it is so difficult to reason with someone who is truly terrified, or why you might struggle to solve a simple puzzle when you are under immense pressure. Fear wants simple answers and immediate solutions, not nuanced analysis. Fact 18. The classic wide-eyed expression of fear is not just a dramatic reaction, it is a highly functional biological adaptation. When you are startled or scared, your eyebrows shoot up and your eyes open as wide as possible. Research has shown that this specific facial configuration serves two key purposes. First, it increases your field of vision, particularly your peripheral vision, allowing you to take in more visual information from your surroundings and better track potential threats. Second, it is an incredibly powerful and unambiguous social signal. The high contrast between the white of the eyes, the sclera, and the iris makes the expression visible even from a distance or in low light. It instantly communicates danger. To anyone who sees it, tapping into that contagious fear response we discussed earlier. It is a silent, universal alarm that requires no translation. Fact 19. Perhaps one of the most bizarre and widely reported effects of acute fear is its ability to warp our perception of time. People who have been in life-threatening situations often report that everything seemed to happen in slow motion. This is not because time actually slows down or that we gain some kind of superhuman perception. The leading theory is that this temporal distortion is a trick of memory. When you are in a high-stakes, fearful situation, your brain, supercharged by adrenaline, goes into overdrive and records a much denser stream of memories than usual. It is like a camera that suddenly starts taking 10 times more frames per second. Later, when your brain plays back that memory, it is so rich with detail that it feels like it must have unfolded over a longer period. The event did not last longer, but your memory of it is far more detailed, creating the powerful illusion of time slowing down to a crawl. Fact 20. Just as fear can be learned, it can also be unlearned. This is perhaps one of the most hopeful facts about our relationship with this powerful emotion. The process is called extinction, and it is the foundation of the most effective treatments for anxiety and phobias, like exposure therapy. The principle is simple, though not easy. It involves gradually and safely exposing the brain to the feared stimulus without the negative consequence occurring. If you have a fear of spiders, this might start with looking at a cartoon picture of a spider, then a realistic photo, then watching a video, and eventually, being in the same room as a spider in a sealed container. With each step where nothing bad happens, the connection between the stimulus and the fear response weakens. Your rational prefrontal cortex is essentially retraining your emotional amygdala, teaching it that the alarm is no longer necessary. You are not erasing the original fear memory, but you are creating a new, stronger memory of safety that overrides it. Fact 21. Your relationship with fear does not even stop when you go to sleep. It continues to play out in the theater of your mind through nightmares. While terrifying and unpleasant, scientists believe nightmares may serve a crucial evolutionary purpose. The leading hypothesis is called the threat simulation theory. It suggests that nightmares are a kind of biological virtual reality, a safe space for your brain to rehearse its response to threatening scenarios. By running these simulations at night, you might be better prepared to react effectively if you ever face a similar danger in real life. Another theory is that nightmares are part of our emotional regulation system, a way for the brain to process and file away the anxieties and fears from our waking hours, helping us to start the next day with a cleaner emotional slate. So as unsettling as they are, your nightmares might just be your brain's way of trying to protect you. Fact 22. Fear is not just a biological and psychological force, it is also a multi-billion-dollar industry. Entire sectors of our economy are built on identifying, amplifying, and then offering a solution to our fears. Think of the news media, where the principle of if it bleeds, it leads often means that frightening and negative stories are given priority because they grab our attention more effectively. The home security industry thrives on our fear of intruders. The insurance market is fundamentally a business of selling financial peace of mind against future calamities. Even the beauty and wellness industries often operate by creating a fear, the fear of aging, the fear of not being healthy enough, and then selling a product to alleviate it. Recognizing when your fear is being used as a marketing tool is a critical step in taking back control from the invisible puppeteer. Fact 23. What is the true antidote to fear? While bravery is a noble quality, a more powerful and sustainable counterforce might be curiosity. Fear thrives in the darkness of the unknown. It fills the vacuum of information with worst-case scenarios and terrifying assumptions. Curiosity, on the other hand, is the act of turning on the light. It is the desire to understand, to explore, to replace those vague, scary specters with concrete facts and knowledge. When you approach something you fear with a sense of curiosity, you engage your prefrontal cortex, the logical part of your brain. The more you learn about what scares you, whether it is public speaking, a different culture, or a complex scientific topic, the less room there is for irrational fear to take hold. Curiosity transforms a monster in the dark into a collection of understandable, manageable parts. Fact 24. While curiosity can combat fear, living in a constant state of it can leave a physical mark on your brain's architecture. This is a phenomenon known as neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections. Chronic fear and stress, which keep your body in a prolonged state of alert, can have detrimental effects. Studies have shown that sustained high levels of the stress hormone cortisol can cause the fear center, the amygdala, to become larger and more sensitive, essentially making you more reactive to threats. At the same time, this chronic stress can actually cause the hippocampus, crucial for memory formation, and the prefrontal cortex, responsible for executive function, to shrink. This creates a vicious cycle. The brain's alarm system becomes overactive while the parts of the brain that could calm it down become weaker, making it even harder to escape the grip of anxiety. Fact 25. This brings us to what may be the most fundamental and powerful human fear of all, the one that sits at the root of so many others, the fear of the unknown.
This is the brain's ultimate terror management system.
When faced with a complete lack of information, the most evolutionarily sound strategy is to assume the worst. This primal fear is the engine behind so many of our anxieties. The fear of the dark is not a fear of blackness itself, but a fear of what might be concealed within it. The fear of change is a fear of an uncertain future. The fear of what happens after a final end is the ultimate confrontation with the unknown. This single, overarching fear drives us to seek certainty, to create beliefs, to form groups, and to try and impose order on a chaotic world. It is the invisible puppeteer's favorite string to pull, because in the face of absolute uncertainty, its whisper is the loudest voice in our head. If this journey into the architecture of your own mind sparked your curiosity and gave you a new perspective, we would love for you to join our community of explorers. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into the science of being human, and ring that notification bell so you do not miss our next exploration.